Any criminal trial, lawyers for the former president called just 2 witnesses to the stand. Trump did not testify in his own defense. The jury is expected to receive instructions before closing arguments next week. Deliberations are expected to follow soon after.
Won the case by any standard. Any other judge, he would have thrown this case out. Any other judge would have thrown this case out.
Rudy Giuliani has pleaded not guilty to 9 felony charges for alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Arizona. Giuliani appeared virtually at his arraignment. He is one of 11 people charged in the case. Authorities in Arizona tried unsuccessfully over several weeks to serve Giuliani notice of the indictment against him. He was finally served Friday night as he was walking to a car after his 80th birthday celebration in Florida. The trial is scheduled for October 17th, roughly 3 weeks before the presidential election. At least 1 person has died and dozens more encountered severe turbulence. The incident happened during a flight from London to Singapore. The Boeing jet diverted to Bangkok with 211 passengers and 18 crew members on board. Those are your headlines, and now here's your weather on the ones.
Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. We're going to be tracking some storms moving across the Great Lakes, the Midwest you can see there, and then for Wednesday morning across Arkansas, Missouri, and the Pacific Northwest. But storms will begin to fire up across the southern plains in the evening hours. So Dallas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, and then eventually moving east into Thursday morning. Now, temperatures starting off in the 40s, 50s, and 60s in the northern tier. Look at Boston, 64 for a low, and then 89 for a high temperature.
The defense rests its case in Donald Trump's hush money trial without the former president testifying in his own defense. The conclusion of witness testimony brings the trial one step closer to closing arguments, which will take place next week. Jurors have been sent home and will not return until next Tuesday. Spectrum's Dan Rivoli joins us now from New York. And Dan, you've been keeping a close eye on this trial. Can you break down what we can expect to see next week?
So the judge dismissed the jury for the entire week. They're due back on Tuesday, right after the Memorial Day holiday, where they will hear closing arguments from both sides. And the judge told them, expect to work late that day so both the prosecution and the defense can get through their summation completely. Then on Wednesday, the judge will give his jury instructions, and then the jury can start their deliberations, the fate of the former president then in their hands. And earlier today, the judge held a charging conference in which both sides made should be worded. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump spoke to reporters outside of the courtroom, and he said he felt pretty good about the case going into closing arguments next week.
A great case was put on. There is no crime. In fact, I just got almost every review that's been done of the case so far. And as they say, there is no crime. This should have never been brought. It should be dismissed before you even have a verdict.
And Dan, lawyers for the former president called just 1 key witness to the stand. What can you tell us about his testimony?
So they called attorney Robert Costello. He sought to represent Michael Cohen after the FBI raided his properties, and he had testified that Michael Cohen repeatedly told him Donald Trump had no knowledge of the hush money payment Cohen made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels, that $130,000 payment. Prosecution on redirection campaign on Cohen to represent him in order to keep him in Donald Trump's orbit, and that he had connections to Rudy Giuliani and as a back channel to Donald Trump.
Okay, more to come next week. Dan Rivoli for us in New York. Thank you for your time. Meantime, in Trump's classified documents case, lawyers for the former president found more classified materials 4 months after the FBI searched his Mar-a-Lago estate. That's according to newly unsealed court documents, which accused Trump of stashing national security documents in his bedroom. Judge Eileen Cannon has signaled the trial is not expected to begin this summer. Meantime, Trump's former attorney, Rudy Giuliani, pleaded not guilty Tuesday to 9 felony charges stemming from his role in trying to overturn the 2020 election. Giuliani appeared remotely for an arraignment held in an Arizona courtroom. Spectrum's Evan Koslov has more on the charges Giuliani and others
appeared virtually at his arraignment on Tuesday. One of a dozen people charged with trying to overturn the 2020 election results in Arizona through a fake elector scheme.
Donald J. Trump.
This video, captured on December 14th, 2020, shows the moment that these so-called alternate electors claim that they were the real electors in an effort to give the state to then-President Donald Trump. Also arraigned on state charges Tuesday were former Arizona Republican Party Chair Kelly Ward and Christina Bobb, a lawyer who advised the Trump campaign in 2020. Giuliani blasted the indictment while speaking in the courtroom.
I do consider this indictment a complete embarrassment to the American legal system.
Prosecutors allege that Giuliani went to great lengths to evade being served at his Manhattan penthouse with a notice of his indictment.
My agents attempted to serve the summons there, were refused entry into the building.
Giuliani seemed to taunt prosecutors Friday night with this post, dismiss the indictment. But just hours later, as he left his 80th birthday party in Florida, the Arizona Attorney General says Giuliani was served. The judge ordered that Giuliani pay a secured bond of $10,000 and that he appear in person within 30 days. Now, Giuliani is one of numerous high-profile Trump allies indicted in this case. Others include Mark Meadows, Trump's former chief of staff, and John Eastman, a lawyer who advised Trump's campaign. As for Trump himself, he was not named as a defendant, but he was listed as an unindicted co-conspirator. In Washington, I'm Evan Kozloff, Spectrum News.
President Biden says more than 1 million claims have been granted to veterans impacted by toxic exposure during service. Biden spent Tuesday in New Hampshire aiming to sell his legislative accomplishments this election year. He highlighted the PACT Act, which provides care to veterans and their survivors exposed to burn pits while on duty.
Headaches, numbness, dizziness, trouble breathing, cancer, brain cancer. Folks, you suffered long enough. You shouldn't have to prove that your illness came from their service. But thanks to the PACT Act, you don't have to prove it now.
Since signing the PACT Act into law, the Biden administration has provided more than $5 billion in benefits to veterans. On Capitol Hill, Secretary of State Antony Blinken faced criticism Tuesday from both ends of the political spectrum over the war in Gaza. Some Republicans accuse the Biden administration of being too tough on Israel, and some Democrats complain the administration is not doing enough to protect civilians. Spectrum's Daniel Grimes reports from Washington.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken's testimony Tuesday before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee got off to a raucous start as protesters said he had blood on his hands because of civilian deaths in Gaza caused by Israel's military. Then some Democrats complained the Biden administration has been unwilling to hold Israel accountable for the deaths of Palestinian civilians, while Republicans accused the administration of not sufficiently supporting Israel.
The request lacks seriousness, I believe, and shows an inability to make tough choices. First, the budget's biggest focus is on climate change. That focus doesn't help Ukraine or Israel.
Blinken and committee members from both parties, though, found common ground in criticizing the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, who announced that he was moving to charge top Israeli and Hamas leaders with war crimes and crimes against humanity.
The shameful equivalence implied between Hamas and the leadership of Israel, I think that only complicates the prospects for getting such an agreement.
Blinken also said he would be happy to work with the committee on a response. Senators on the committee blasted the ICC's decision as well, saying it would jeopardize efforts to bring about peace in the Middle East. The secretary also noted ceasefire, saying the quickest way to end the war is in Hamas's hands.
Is for Hamas to surrender, to give up its weapons, to release the hostages, to stop hiding behind civilians.
Blinken will be back on the Hill on Wednesday for more testimony, this time before Republican-led committees in the House. In Washington, Daniel Grimes, Spectrum News.
A deadly turn of events on board a Singapore Airlines flight. Just ahead, the violent turbulence and terrifying moments that followed.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast.
Connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know how much you depend on the reliability of our products and services.
Now, we've taken a new step forward in reliability by identifying potential service issues before they become a problem. If you're affected, we'll contact you and help schedule a free service appointment with one of our expert technicians. The proactive maintenance of our network is one of the many reasons Spectrum delivers the most reliable internet speeds in the nation. Spectrum, keeping you connected.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished. Challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The threat continues for some severe weather. Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert. See where that threat is, especially moderate right around Iowa and parts of Illinois. Now, for Wednesday, we downgrade a little bit, enhanced, but that still is something to be taken seriously because with these storms coming across there could be a chance of some tornadoes, some frequent lightning, some damaging winds in excess of 58 miles per hour, and even some hail larger than an inch. And it's all because of these storms here that we're expecting to fire up in the afternoon. You can see there across Texas and Arkansas up into Missouri and lasting even into the evening hours here. So there could be some pop-up thunderstorms here as well as potential for tornadoes into the evening hours all across these states here. As we go into Thursday morning, you could see some of that moving across Kentucky and Virginia and also eventually the Carolinas there for Thursday afternoon. Here's the situation here on Friday morning. Now, once we get to Thursday, you could see instead of still some lightning out of that. Okay, so here we're looking at now 3 p.m. Wednesday. We're looking to the north, the northeast. Look what's coming across upstate New York. And once we get into Thursday, 3 o'clock in the morning, scattered showers. And then we'll be watching this at Thursday, 9 o'clock in the morning, coming out of Pennsylvania and moving towards the east across the New England states for Thursday afternoon. You could see there that line of storms moving across. And so it's likely going to be a wet afternoon commute there Thursday afternoon across the New England states. Now, Syracuse, New York, 90, very hot for you with showers on Wednesday. Then temperatures dropping to the upper 70s, still warm, but not as hot, as you know. Lexington, Kentucky, I've got potential for some night thunderstorms there on Thursday, and then 80 degrees Friday with some storms. So we're looking at basically wet weather off and on for the next 3 days. Dallas, Fort Worth, 80s with those storms. So yes, they're coming in cooling things down, but you've got the threat of thunder.
Some terrifying moments turned deadly on board a Singapore Airlines flight overnight. The Boeing jet took off from London heading to Singapore when violent turbulence tossed around passengers. At least one of those passengers, a British national, died. Dozens more were injured, including several who are said to be in critical condition. This was not the landing passengers on board a Singapore Airlines flight from London overnight were expecting. Ambulances, triage tents, and a swarm of medical personnel, tending to dozens of injuries suffered by those on board when violent turbulence rocked the Boeing jet mid-flight.
This tragic incident will be investigated to see whether the pilots had gotten a warning that they were coming into a dangerous area.
At least one fatality was reported after the diverted plane, originally bound for Singapore, landed. The airline confirmed the death in a social media post, adding that there were 211 passengers and 18 crew members on flight SQ321. Most of the injured passengers suffered cuts and bruises, said an airport official in Bangkok, who added that many on the jet were wearing seatbelts at the time of the turbulence. Singapore's Ministry of Transportation confirmed it has opened an investigation into the incident, and in the same statement said they will deploy their own safety experts to Thailand.
They need to make sure there hasn't been significant fatigue to the structure. It's possible the aircraft will be a total loss.
The plane was a Boeing 777-300. The aircraft maker responded to the deadly event in their own statement, saying, "The company is standing by to support Singapore Airlines, extends their condolences, and is keeping all of the passengers and crew in their thoughts." Thai authorities say almost 200 passengers are awaiting other flights to their destinations, while some of the injured remain. The DEA and Los Angeles police launched a criminal investigation into actor Matthew Perry's death. Officials say traces of the drug ketamine were found in the actor's stomach, but his autopsy report shows the amount found in his blood was about the same as what would be used during general anesthesia. Medical examiners say other factors that contributed to his death include drowning and coronary artery disease. A group of Wisconsin lawmakers and advocates want to start a task force focusing on missing and murdered African-American women and girls. It would be made up of state leaders, law enforcement agencies, and people who work within the justice system, healthcare, and community outreach. Spectrum's Cody Taylor has more on that effort.
Representative Sheila Stubbs has been working on this legislation for over 2 years, and on Thursday she continued her push by calling on the Senate and asking them to schedule a vote to pass this legislation.
We are doing absolutely nothing. Let me be clear. Today I am standing here demanding that the Senate reconvene and give this bill a hearing.
A call to protect more black women and girls from violence. Among the crowd, Tanisha Howard, a mother from Milwaukee whose daughter, Janiyah Walker, has been missing for 2 years.
Yesterday would have been her 17th birthday, but we weren't unable to celebrate it because we don't know where she is.
Howard says after her daughter never came home, she rushed to the Milwaukee Police Department to file a missing persons case.
I was told that they couldn't make Janiyah a priority because they had hundreds of missing cases in Milwaukee and pointed to a file cabinet.
It became Howard's mission to find her own daughter. She turned to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for help, but still no clues. From that point on, she became an advocate to get a better system in place for her and other families going through this.
This legislation with robust provisions for the Missing Persons Task Force is vital to addressing the epidemic of missing persons and ensuring families receive the support they desperately need.
State Rep Sheila Stubbs says Senate Republicans have refused to take up the task force she's proposing.
And that despite this bill unanimously passing committee in both houses and the legislature and passing the assembly floor this session, this bill has yet to be given a floor date in the Senate.
Howard believes it can help save lives and prevent families from going through the pain she's experienced.
The task force mandated by this bill will provide coordinated efforts to locate missing persons, enhance resources for investigations, and support families like mine who are left in limbo.
In response to renewed calls to form this task force, Republican State Senator Dewey Strobel released a statement that says, in part, as with the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Woman Task Force that was introduced as a bill and did not pass, the best way forward is to have the Attorney General create the task force since it uses his budget and is under his direction. In Madison, Cody Taylor, Spectrum News.
Coming up on Spectrum News, a Florida women's rugby team aiming high, what they're doing to become national champions.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3.
reminder.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Well, it is spring, and so we can expect some severe storms still moving across the lower 48. Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. And for Wednesday, we do have more storms to keep track of. They'll be moving into the southern plains, middle Mississippi Valley. In the meantime, we're tracking some dangerous heat as well in the deep south and even in the northeast. In contrast, we've got cool and cloudy weather for the west coast. You can see right here for our Wednesday, LA 66 degrees, San Francisco 68. The marine layer cloud cover blocking the heating of the day, delaying the heating of the day. In the meantime, the desert communities in Southern California and also across the Southwest, they're easily into the 90s. And Texas, I know you are tired of this heat already. Please make sure you continue to stay safe because this heat is going to be around here for the rest of the week. We're looking at upper 80s but 90s in San Antonio, triple digits here. And with the humidity, that heat index making it feel more like 104 will be making it feel like that again for your Wednesday. And in Florida, yes, the temperatures have come down, but we still have some humidity to add into the mix. So it is easily feeling like the mid to upper 90s there in many places, including Tampa and Orlando. The cooler than average temperatures, you can see the areas in blue. Now, the warmer than average temperatures you can see down in the south, Tampa, Miami, 4 or 5 degrees. But look at this. Boston, 23 degrees warmer than average. So the daytime high that I'm forecasting for Boston on Wednesday is 89 degrees. Upper 70s in New York, and you could see all that hot weather. Now, there's an area of high pressure, ridge of high pressure over Mexico, and it's really impacting the south and even all the way up into those northeastern cities, too. San Antonio, Texas, your next 3 days, 88 is your average, and you're going to be above all the next 7. Monday, 102, so be extra careful if you have any Memorial Day services to attend or if you have any plans to be outdoors over the weekend. You might think of a plan B at this point. Make sure you're safe. New York, 70 is your average, and you'll be above that for the next 5-6 days. Then you come down to average for Memorial Day. Columbus, Ohio, 76 is your average, and you can see we'll be hovering in the 80s, low 80s, so yes, above average. You get down to more average temperatures right around Monday. And in Southern California, once again, because of the cloud cover sticking around, the onshore flow, Mother Nature's AC, look at how cool these temperatures are, cooling down even Thursday through Sunday into the 60s.
A group of Florida women have staked their claim as the best in the state for rugby. Now they're taking their act on the road to Texas to compete for a national championship. As Spectrum's Catherine Smith tells us, the team has been working hard so they can shine in the national spotlight.
Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the world of rugby. It's a jungle of intense workouts, physical and grueling conditioning. Yet, it's a jungle of inclusion. The Tampa Bay Crew women's rugby team invites anybody to join their madness.
It brings so many different types of people together and that we can all find a place on the field. There's a position for every body type, for everybody.
Some are moms, some are wives, some are veterans. One is an elementary school teacher, one is a veterinarian tech, another a prison nurse. They come from all over the Bay Area, from all walks of life. And when they set foot on the field, they come together for a common cause.
To be able to come together and play the same sport together and bond together the way that we do really makes something special for our culture and just for us to be able to go out on the field and do what we do.
What they do is win. The Crew have won 3 straight state championships in their 2 previous trips to the regional round in Knoxville, but not this time. Tampa Bay earned a trip to the national championship with a 41-8 win over Knoxville. Rugby's an intense sport, and the play on the field can get violent, but there's also a level of sportsmanship and respect amongst those who play the game.
I don't know if people understand like how physical rugby could be, and I'm not sure if they also understand, you know, with how physical it is, like how friendly we could be with the other teams afterward.
As the crew get in one of their final practices before the national championship, they are keeping their eyes on the prize. The regional championship was great, but they want to bring home a national title. That's why they put in the hours of practice on the field and off of it with film study, and why they'll push their bodies to the extreme.
Everybody on the team knew how much work themselves to it.
And that dedication is paying off. It could pay off big with a national championship. In St. Petersburg, Catherine Smith, Spectrum News.
I'm Ariel Wessler. Thank you for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up right after this short break. Stay with us.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting with Plus on-demand weather forecasts. It's all there as you step outside with the Spectrum News mobile app, keeping you informed and in the know throughout your day. Spectrum News Plus, local stories connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars. I'm a rocket structural engineer designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.